Today's sponsor is Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building a beautiful website and growing your online presence. More details on them later in the video. In the middle of the US state of Florida, rising above the swampland and the alligators, is an empire. It has moats, it even has a castle, but instead of a despot, it's ruled by a mouse. We're talking, of course, about Disney World, the planet's most successful theme park. Since it first opened in 1971, Disney World has become one of the most visited and most valuable properties on Earth, pulling in more annual revenue than many countries. It is billed as the most magical place on Earth, a place carefully cultivated to make sure that everyone who visits Disney World has a good time, even if afterwards they grumble about having spent too much money. Beneath the carefully managed facade presented to guests, however, is a vast array of unseen machinery that makes Disney World work. Thousands of employees work tirelessly to make sure that the magic of the experience is uninterrupted for attendees. Half of the labor involved is in making sure that the outside world doesn't accidentally leak in and ruin your fun, which is why Disney World has a dedicated legion of fans that come year after year. This is the story of how Disney World came to be, how it works behind the scenes, and what the future may hold for this crown jewel of all tourist attractions. In the late 1950s, Walt Disney was the undisputed king of the Hollywood film industry. For decades, his films have been entertaining audiences young and old, and in 1955, he entered the theme park industry with a splash, opening Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Disneyland was a huge success, attracting more visitors than the Grand Canyon or the Statue of Liberty, but Disney thought there was room for improvement. A market study of park attendees showed that only 5% of ticket buyers came from east of the Mississippi River, where 75% of the population of the United States lived. Walt also wasn't a fan of all the businesses that had sprung up around Disneyland after it opened, hoping to cash in on a piece of his success. The solution was simple: to create an East Coast version of Disneyland. Disney hoped the new park could be constructed on a much larger scale than the original, and also that he would have much more control over the experience to make it as entertaining and as immersive as possible for all of his guests. Planners selected Florida as the best place to build the new park, since there were large tracts of cheap, undeveloped land available, and the weather was suitable to keep the park open year-round. After initially looking at coastal resort towns like Miami and Tampa, Disney eventually decided to build near the city of Orlando in the central part of the state so that the park would be more protected from damage caused by hurricanes. At that time, Orlando was a small but growing city, primarily based around the aerospace industry. The Martin plant in the town would eventually build rocket parts for NASA. In 1963, Disney personally flew over the proposed site for a final confirmation, a huge tract of land to the southwest of Orlando, mostly undeveloped swampland with the occasional orange grove or cattle ranch mixed in. The next step was to buy the land, but to do so in such a way that land speculators wouldn't get wind of the scheme and buy the land first to jack up the prices for a profit. Over the following 2 years, a masterclass in subterfuge was held. The entire project was kept top secret, the land purchased through a convoluted system of aliases, shell companies, different purchasing agents cloaking their travel itineraries like something out of a dime store spy novel. However, no one could buy up that much land in one area without anyone noticing, and area journalists began to speculate about the shadowy entity responsible. Guesses ranged from NASA to the enigmatic aircraft builder and movie maker Howard Hughes. The speculation finally ended in November 1965 when Walt Disney announced at a press conference with the governor of Florida that he was going to build his next theme park in Orlando. By that point, his company had bought over 27,000 acres of land, which made Disneyland's 160 acres look rather cramped. Disney's grand plan for the Florida project, as he initially referred to it, included not only a theme park, but an entire town, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, or Epcot. This is where experimental designs for modern urban living could be tested. But in December 1966, before construction had begun, Walt Disney died of lung cancer. Walt's brother and longtime business partner Roy decided to postpone his retirement to head the Disney company and to continue work on the new park. One of his innovations was to persuade the Florida legislature to create a special district, the Reedy Creek Improvement District, that would incorporate two towns, Bay Lake and Reedy Creek, today Lake Buena Vista. These towns wouldn't have any residents, but they would have the authority to issue tax-free bonds to fund construction projects and were exempt from all land use taxes except county property tax. It also gave Disney an unprecedented level of control over their land, as they had quasi-municipal authority over it. Walt Disney World officially opened for business in 1971 with the completion of the first theme park in the complex, the Magic Kingdom. In a lot of ways, the Magic Kingdom was similar to Disneyland, complete with a Main Street USA, Cinderella's Castle, as opposed to the Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland, and many of the same rides as the park's older brother in Anaheim. What was different was the infrastructure. More than 125 acres of parking lots capable of holding 12,000 cars, as well as Disney-owned resort hotels, 2 golf courses, and campgrounds. Bringing guests from the parking lots and the hotels to the Magic Kingdom was a specially constructed monorail. The most ingenious part about Magic Kingdom's design was something that most guests never see. The entire park was built above an interconnected network of utilidors, tunnels that house all of the park's utility infrastructure out of sight of the guests. Park employees, called cast members, can move both people and equipment around the park without being seen by guests, an innovation that was inspired by Walt Disney's dissatisfaction seeing a cowboy in costume walking through the Tomorrowland section of Disneyland, breaking the immersion of guests. The utilidors weren't actually built underground, but at ground level. This was done because of the high water table, and then the entire park was built on top of them, meaning Magic Kingdom is actually over 100 feet off the ground. The utilidor system has been described as an underground city where all the park's vital functions, including electrical, plumbing, and deliveries, as well as services for cast members, including locker rooms, a check cashing service, even a hairdresser, exist. Walt Disney's idea for a city of the future was scrapped after his death, though the name Epcot would be used for the second theme park, which opened in 1982. Epcot is a combination of attractions highlighting technological progress and a celebration of world culture. It is referred to as a permanent World's Fair. Its centerpiece is Spaceship Earth, a 180-foot geodesic sphere that contains a time travel ride. Magic Kingdom and Epcot would be joined by 2 more parks. Hollywood Studios opened in 1989 and is based around the film industry, while Animal Kingdom opened in 1998 and is a combination of amusement park and zoo containing hundreds of species of exotic animals. At 580 acres, Animal Kingdom is the largest theme park in the world, 5 times the size of the Magic Kingdom. Today, in addition to the 4 main parks, the Disney World complex consists of 2 water parks, Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, 40 hotels, multiple golf courses, the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex, and Disney Springs, a 120-acre outdoor shopping and entertainment district. Even with all these attractions, only half of the 25,000 acres Disney owns in this complex has been developed. The rest is unclaimed swampland still populated by alligators and other native animals, including birds and snakes. This entertainment juggernaut draws a staggering 58 million visitors a year, more than any other tourist attraction or entertainment venue on Earth. Magic Kingdom alone had almost 21 million attendees in 2019, the most visited theme park on Earth, beating out its sister parks in California and Tokyo. Because of all these visitors, Disney World is perhaps the Disney company's most important asset, financially speaking. It pulls in annual revenues of about $20 billion, representing almost a quarter of the corporation's total. If Disney World were its own country, it would have a GDP larger than nearly half of the world's nations. The presence of the mouse has been a huge windfall for the city of Orlando, which has tripled in size since the park first opened and is now based almost entirely around tourism, not only to Disney World, but also to parks like Universal Studios and SeaWorld, making Orlando the theme park capital of the world. The sponsor of today's video is one of my favorites. If you've ever wanted to start a website but have been put off by the thought of complicated coding, then Squarespace is perfect for you. Building an online presence can be incredibly daunting, but no longer is an advanced coding degree or a small fortune required to get started. Squarespace helps you stand out with a beautiful website built using their easy drag and drop method. Their platform provides you with powerful analytics and insights into who visits your site and how they interact with your content. Squarespace's analytics tool includes page views, traffic sources, audience geography, and more. Figure out what is drawing your audience in and capitalize on that premium data provided to you. The Squarespace members area feature makes it simple and easy for you to monetize your content in a way that fits with your brand, unlock a new revenue stream for your business, and sell exclusive access to gated content for your most dedicated customers. Squarespace also allows you to integrate email campaigns into your website, convert your email subscribers into loyal customers with their huge selection of email templates and automation features. Test out their platform and its features before making any commitments. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your new site, go to squarespace.com/geographics to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. And now back to today's video. Walt Disney's vision for his parks was that when you stepped inside of one, you left the real world behind. He wanted a place where parents could have just as much fun as their kids, where you could leave the worries of everyday living at the door and marvel at the magic that is Disney. Attempts to honor this vision at Disney World by the staff range from the easy and obvious to the subtle and complicated. On the easy side are the most instantly recognizable symbols of Disney, the hundreds of costumed characters roaming around the park, from Mickey Mouse to the villain from Beauty and the Beast. These performers are instructed to remain in character at all time when in public view. Even the ones that talk. If you asked Ariel or Cinderella about Harry Potter or anything that isn't Disney for that matter, they aren't going to know what you're talking about. It's not an easy job. Disney has to report on-the-job injuries to OSHA like all other employers, and in 2005 it reported almost 800 injuries to costumed cast members, ranging from neck injuries caused by the weight of the character head to over 100 injuries caused by guests either accidentally or on purpose. Things get more tricky when you consider the problem of security. How do you keep guests and staff safe while not being overbearing, thus breaking guest immersion? Other than security screenings at park entrances, including bag checks and metal detectors, it's unlikely for the typical guest to see any security guards inside Disney World. But that doesn't mean they aren't there. Most security officers are dressed as tourists, blending into the background while watching for threats or violations of park rules. There are also hidden cameras all over the park, monitored by security officials in staff rooms that are well out of view of the guests. If security needs to talk to a guest, no more than 2 officers are dispatched to the location so that it doesn't create a disruptive presence to other guests. Criminal incidents at Disney World are handled by the Orange County Sheriff's Office, which maintains a permanent post on site. Security guards usually handle incidents that don't rise to the level of serious criminal activity, from drunken disorderly guests to frequent instances of guests being caught having sex in the park. If the offenders are underage, the guards are obliged to call their parents, which is probably not a fun conversation for anybody. Security guards also have the responsibility of, among other things, trying to prevent people from spreading the ashes of departed loved ones within the confines of the parks, which apparently happens way more than you might think. The federal government also has taken steps to protect Disney World. The entire complex has been declared a permanent no-fly zone by the FAA. This designation, which prohibits all aircraft from flying over the site except during an emergency, is usually reserved for places that are deemed vital to national security, such as government buildings in Washington, D.C., or the Pantex nuclear weapons plant in Texas. On average, it takes about 60,000 cast members to make Disney World run. Unlike many other large entertainment venues, Disney doesn't subcontract out most of its workforce. Almost everything is handled in-house by Disney employees. The monorail, for instance, which was extended to connect Epcot to Magic Kingdom in 1982, is maintained at a facility on property by specially trained maintenance personnel. The same goes for the hundreds of rides at the parks, which are subjected to regular safety checks and maintenance as part of the Disney After Dark program. Any maintenance or deliveries done at the park is almost always done at night when no guests are present, meaning that Disney World never really closes. It is like a constantly churning engine, either preparing for or entertaining guests and making money. Any place as large as Disney World is going to have some problems, some trivial, some serious. There have been dozens of deaths at the complex over the years, many of them attributed to natural causes, which is why you'll notice explicit signage warning people with pre-existing medical conditions against riding certain rides. There have also been accidents that have caused death and injury to both park guests and employees. In one high-profile incident in 1977, a 4-year-old boy drowned in the moat of Cinderella's castle after wandering away from his parents and falling in. After a lawsuit that lasted over a decade, Disney was eventually found to be negligent in order to pay $1.5 million in damages. In more recent years, a performer dressed as Pluto died after being run over by a parade float in 2004, and in 2009, a 21-year-old monorail operator was killed when his vehicle was struck by another train. The most horrific incident, though, was in June 2016, when 2-year-old Lane Graves was attacked by an alligator on the beach of a Disney Resort hotel. The boy's lifeless body was found the next day. Disney World has also found itself at the center of political controversy, particularly on the subject of LGBT people. Every year since 1991, a loosely organized gay day has been held at Disney World during the first Saturday in June. Wearing red shirts to make their presence more visible, between 20,000 and 30,000 people participate in the event annually. Despite not being officially recognized by Disney, who treats it as just another summer day, the park has been targeted for criticism by conservative groups who claim the park should put a stop to the event and have called for a boycott. Disney officials usually respond with the press release equivalent of a shrug. It isn't an official event, no one is violating park rules by wearing a red shirt, and trying to kick out gay park attendees would cause way more controversy than letting them in. This wouldn't be the last time Disney would tangle with Florida conservatives over the issue, though. In early 2022, the Florida legislature passed a law that prohibited any mention of same-sex couples in elementary school classrooms. Derided as the "Don't Say Gay" law by opponents, Disney was originally going to take no official position on the law until the company's leadership came under fire by employees, after which it issued a statement in opposition to the law. This triggered a acerbic response by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who spearheaded an effort by the legislature to dissolve the Reedy Creek Improvement District, under which Disney World had been operating since it opened. Critics claimed the effort to repeal the special district was an act of political retaliation by DeSantis, an illegal violation of the corporation's free speech rights. It's unclear whether the dissolution of the RCID will actually punish the Disney company in the way that DeSantis intended, according to economic experts. Under Florida law, the $1 billion in bonds liability still held by the district will pass to the state government upon the dissolution of the RCID, meaning that Florida taxpayers will be responsible for paying them off instead of Disney. It would also have an impact in Orange and Osceola counties, who will be responsible for providing municipal services, including road maintenance, water, and sewer, as well as the fire department, which had been paid for and managed by the RCID, without collecting any additional property taxes from Disney World. With the district scheduled to be dissolved on the 1st of June 2023, it is unclear whether any of this will happen or if some sort of compromise deal will be put in place beforehand. One thing is for sure, though, this is an argument that's not going to end anytime soon. In March 2020, Disney World closed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the first sustained closure in the park's history. When the parks reopened in July, it was at 25% capacity, and with 6,500 fewer employees, having laid them off during the shutdown to weather the storm. As a result, Disney took a major revenue hit in 2020, posting losses of almost $3 billion. While they may have successfully bounced back from this hit, the uncertainty over the future of Reedy Creek is making some question what the future holds for Disney World. It's understandable why some Disney executives would be nervous. Nobody wants to upset their $20 billion baby. One of the most common complaints about Disney World, an issue that isn't likely to go away, is how much it costs to go there. When Magic Kingdom first opened in 1971, ticket prices ranged from $1 to $3.50. Today, you can expect to pay anywhere between $125 and $150 to enter one park for one day. If you're a family of four that wants to see all four parks, entrance tickets alone is going to run you over $2,000. And that isn't factoring in the cost of staying at a hotel, or to park your car, or to eat while you're in the park, or buying souvenirs, or paying a daily fee to use the Disney Genie Plus, a service that allows you to skip the standby lines for attractions so you don't spend your whole day waiting in line. And that's if you drive there. If you're flying in, now you're adding plane tickets, rental car fees to your tally. A family vacation to Disney World can easily run into 5 figures, leading many to wonder if the most magical place on earth is being priced out for all but the wealthiest families, which might cause problems down the road if attendance starts going down. For now, Disney seems to be relying on the mystique of going to Disney World, as well as offering package deals, bundling tickets, hotels, and plane tickets as a cost-saving measure for families. Another popular workaround is travel groups that pool their money together to get a discounted rate and then visit the park en masse. Disney World, at one point seen as a little brother to the original Disneyland, is now the flagship of the entire Disney Parks division, which has since opened theme parks in Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. Tens of millions will continue to visit from all over the world, which will continue to make Disney lots and lots of money. The hardest question to answer, though, is why. Why do they come to Disney World? The amusement park rides are essentially higher quality versions of what you find at a county fair or boardwalk pier. The food is overpriced, the crowds are massive, the lines are long. What makes it worth coming there? Maybe the answer isn't something you can easily quantify, more like a combination of little things that all come together to create a truly magical experience. Like the "no one cries at Disney World" mantra, on the surface, that sounds dystopian, but what it really means is that if a park employee comes across a crying child, part of their job should be doing whatever is in their power to make that child feel better, whether that's offering to replace a dropped ice cream cone for free, or putting a band-aid on a scraped knee and a small stuffed animal to help them forget how much it hurts. By that simple measure, which doesn't cost the company hardly anything, the crisis is averted, the parents feel better, and the family can go back to enjoying what is, for many of them, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And sure, you could wave that off as cynical marketing. After all, happy customers make for repeat customers, which makes you more money in the long run. But you could also see in that an echo of Walt Disney's original vision, that if you make the trip out to the park, we're going to make sure that you have a good time, an unforgettable time that you'll remember for the rest of your life. And one day you'll come back with your own children so that they have a chance to experience the same thing. Maybe that's what Disney World is. And if it isn't, then maybe it should be.